Can we talk about one-to-ones?
Ugh.
That should not be the response that comes out. It should be like, oh yes, let's talk about my self-development time, one-on-one with my manager, which I look forward to every fortnight.
Oh, but we don't talk about development time. We talk about our to-do lists and excessively go through all the things that we haven't yet done because we've sent emails to other people and haven't yet had responses to.
Possibly.
Sorry.
What would an ideal one-to-one look like if you were running it?
That's an actual
No,
question?
that's a real question.
That's a real question. Okay. Okay. What would a one-to-one look like? I think the thing is, I think it's helpful to have different categories of one-to-ones, and I think it's something people don't do enough. So when I was managing the last team that I had, we did differentiate. So we could do the worky work one-to-one that's like, right, just tell me everything that you're stuck on or where you're up to on some of those more frustrating projects. Also tell me about your wins and things that have gone really well. And then separately make time for the development conversations and what are you trying to achieve, and to use those really proactively, like bring me the role profile for the role above where you are right now so that we can go through and do that gap analysis of what are the skills and experience that you need to develop, and then let's actually use the work that you're doing to help you get that experience. But yeah, I've had some bad managers who have done one-to-ones in totally shocking ways.
Well, I never had one in my life till quite late on in my career. Just wasn't a thing my previous managers did. But the one thing that stuck out to me about your description of like what a one-to-one would look like, Fiona, is the sort of tenet I try and stick to, which is it isn't my one-to-one. Like if I'm doing one-to-one with a team member, it's not my one-to-one, it's their one-to-one. And I do think a lot of people forget that. Like a manager's like, oh, well, I'll raise that with them then, but actually it should be their time. And one would hope that although there might be things you need to raise with them, we really want people to be able to use that time for what they want to bring into the discussion. And I think that is the key challenge. And I do find it difficult when, I have one-to-ones where I just get given a to-do list. I'm sure we've all had those. And I often get asked by mentees and things like that around, well, how can I reclaim control of my one-to-ones? What's your experience, Kelly?
Yeah, I mean, similar. I find it really difficult to get time into the diary, either for my own one-to-ones or for my direct reports. I mean, I've got too many direct reports at the moment, so I've had to just say to people, look, I can't actually diarize it, as a recurring meeting because I would do nothing except one-to-ones all day. So I need you to, I'm absolutely happy to carve out time. I'm always available to approach about that. Ping me a Teams chat, put something in my diary. I don't mind. But I'm going to leave it in your hands. As you say, it's your one-to-one. If you want time with me, just let me know. And I've empowered my people to reach out to me if they want me. So I'm not going to put a regular one-to-one in for you to have nothing to say, nothing to ask me, and I don't need to micromanage you. So that's not the reality of my working time at the moment. And I've got a standing one-to-one that usually gets eaten by other meetings. So because other people put meetings in my boss's diary, and so she's often 3 or 4 times booked at the same time. So I tend to just let my one-to-ones go to take the pressure out. It's like, that's fine, I don't need anything right now, just I'll assume that you're prioritizing other meetings, which is probably doing myself a disservice, but that's the reality that I'm in right now. I think I've been more successful when I've had very particular things I want to talk about, especially development conversations, where I've said, I want to talk about my next steps. I want to talk about my skills gap, and kind of set those down and put them in a time when I knew that we would both have brain space. I've done it right before Christmas when, not this year, because it was like everybody was clearing the decks right up until, the the clock gone midnight practically. But you know, in previous years where it's sort of tailed off, we're like, okay, let's put it in the diary and we're gonna have some breathing room and we can really kind of dig into it, have a really nice discussion, and it's worked really well. And so the thinking about the timing of that has made the time more productive as well as the time itself. You know, so planning it well around what else, you know, pressures are going to be has made a difference for me anyway. And I've done that with my mentor appointments as well. You know, I don't put them in when I know I'm going to be super stressed. There's no point, because I'm just going to not want to be there, you know, and that's not what the time is for.
I think it's so key that you've empowered your team in that way. Like, I've had that experience where my manager has been so intensely busy that they have had scheduled regular one-to-one time, and then as you said, you know, it's just the time has come and gone and we haven't met and it's been cancelled out of the diary or whatever, and sometimes months have gone by, and it then just falls down to those kind of court conversations at the end of meetings or in the corridor, or they're sort of incidental times. So I think being able to do the opposite of that and say, we're not going to schedule them because it's on a as needed basis, is so much more helpful, because it just gives that clarity to people and then they can feel empowered, as you say.
Yeah, and then people do reach out. They just say, hey, can I get some time with you this week, or can I, you know, do you have any time on Friday? And it's like, you know, actually Friday's not good, but I can do Thursday, you know, and so we negotiate, and then you know that it's something that they really want, and you know that there's a purpose to it and a drive behind it. And yeah, I think, because I think about, you know, in previous lives where I've had standing one-to-ones, and every time it got cancelled and not rescheduled, it just made me feel a bit worse about myself, you know, a bit less important, a bit less, you know, of an afterthought. You know, not at the time, but sort of cumulatively, you go, oh, we haven't actually had a one-to-one in several months, and you keep canceling on me, so obviously I'm not very important to you, you know, is the unspoken message. So I don't want to do that to my team. So I yeah, as you say, I put it in their hands and let them know I'm very happy to hear from them.
And that transparency is really, really important, so that they understand that you're doing it for a, you know, conscious active reason. It's not just that you aren't, you know, aren't open to those discussions or having it like it's quite clear to them that obviously you've got the significant workload and a large number of colleagues reporting to you. So this is a, you know, better way to manage it. I think I have a slightly different perspective in certain contexts. I just wanted to bring in, so in my current post, we only work on site 1 day a week, and we work across 2 big, quite geographically distanced campuses. So I have half of the people that report to me directly don't work at the campus that I go into 1 day a week, although I do go between the 2 campuses, but I don't see them in person. So I have to be much more deliberate about my time with them. And I do that kind of in 2 ways. One, with some of the teams, I make sure in like a catch-up meeting or something that we deliberately have like 10 minutes of just chat, because I think it's really important, because we don't have the water cooler conversations, the kitchen conversations, corridor conversations, the sitting next to each other on the desk chat. So it's really important just to have that ice breakage. But also, particularly when you don't know a team, when you're earlier on working with a team, or if you've got a team member that is struggling or someone who's particularly lacking in confidence, I think there is greater benefit in those contexts to where possible endeavour to be sort of deliberate about creating that time. I'm quite clear with them, like, we don't have to use it all. That's the other side of it. It's like, you know, what have you got to bring? But I feel like I need to, for myself, if anything else, I need to sort of check in with them, and I need to like see them on a camera, just check they're okay. And I don't like to I don't want things to grow to a bit of a problem because they haven't been able to approach me about it. So with a lot of my team, I keep it quite short, just half an hour every fortnight. But it's knowing, and we have other opportunities to communicate. We use Teams chats, we have other forums. We can speak on the phone or Teams any other time. But I like to make sure if someone's getting all in their head or feeling a bit isolated or getting in a bit of a negative space, that we've got that like time. And I try to really respect it. I actually find it really frustrating when I want to respect time I've booked in with team members, and I try and push back to my senior leaders and say, I know that this is kind of important, you know, you put this in quite last minute, I actually have this time already booked. I don't like the culture where it's the expectation is, of course, we will shift the staff member, as if I always say to my team when they're like, oh, you're really busy, I don't want to bother you. My entire job is them as a manager, ultimately. So like whatever, if they need something, if there is like a situation and they need some support with it, that absolutely will be my priority in that moment. And a committee meeting that I may or may not have actually needed to be at, and I'm sure someone could catch me up on the 10 minutes I miss, it should be okay to just say, I need to do that. But we're not necessarily often empowered, I think, to say, my team have got priority today. We're so dragged. Everyone else controls our schedules. They like to, like you said, just filling up our calendars.
I think that could be a whole other tea break.
Sorry,
100%.
I think I would just say, like, for new, if you're a new manager, or if you're with a new to you team, like you haven't worked with them that long, particularly like if you have that high ratio of remote working or different campuses and stuff, that there is important to set the foundations so that they can feel empowered. Like Kelly, like we talk about your team being able to kind of come to you, because obviously as soon as you start, even if you say you can come to me, particularly if they've had a bad experience with the previous manager who didn't mean it, they're not necessarily going to believe you, are they, or feel they can come. So something, I think also you've set and built like a way of working that they understand and they know you well enough to know where you're at. But I think if someone's going in completely cold beginning of something, that some structure can help.
The other dynamic, I know we're coming up on time, so I won't chat for too long about it, but the other dynamic I really noticed at a certain point of seniority was how my director never came to me. I always went to him. But my team, we had the similar situation. We were in disparate campus locations. My team, they didn't come to me, I went to them, and it was just really funny, like sort of noticing those dynamics, because I would always think, well, there are 4 of them down there, so it's more convenient and more time efficient for me to travel. But the director would never do that. He would always call people into him, and just sort of thinking about how that plays out in terms of seniority and who's putting in the mileage.
It's middle
The
management.
unspoken, whose time is more important. Power play.
Yeah, well, it was like, well, these 4 people can get on and do a whole morning of work if I go to them.
That perhaps isn't just about the roles you're in, Fiona. That probably perhaps says something about you two as individuals as well.
Like, yeah, yes, and I think he was a lovely, lovely man. So I don't want it to seem like he was, you know, not. Like it wasn't because he was not a nice person. I think it was a status situation.
And pressure from others around at that level.
Yeah.
Right. It's really interesting because my old manager, she went out to every single one of her reports, and she was absolutely religious in her observation of one-to-ones with her direct reports. The vast majority of her time was spent in one-to-ones and supporting individuals, and she always came to you, to me. It's funny reflecting on that, how good that made me feel, that I was worth coming to. She was like, it's great, I get a new bit of scenery, I get out of my dull office that's up in a corridor that I don't see anybody, and I get to go out and be in the world. But you know, as a junior person, I felt like, wow, they came to me. It's like, gosh, that was a nice thing for her to, you know, take the time to do. It's funny, our perception changes as we get experience and look at things a different way.
So those small things that make such a big difference to morale.
Definitely. I can't think of an interesting way to end this conversation.
Someone wave their mug at this camera. Different
says, oh, it's in reverse. It's annoying. It says you've got this.
Oh, it doesn't show up in reverse for me. You've got this.
There you go.
Nice.
That's a good affirmation then.
Yeah. HET break out.